Sisters and brothers, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, but sadly, unfortunately, I want to talk about an urgent matter. In Uganda, elections are occurring on January the 15th. So last week, the military dictator of Uganda of 40 years now, General Museveni, lied that the internet was not going to be turned off. His people lied. The internet has been turned off. Today is the 13th. The elections are in 2 days, on the 15th. You don't turn off the internet for good purposes. You don't turn off the internet for a good agenda. We saw what happened in Tanzania during the October presidential elections. Turned off the internet, a reported 700 plus people were killed. By the time the internet was back on, Madame Suluhu was claiming she won by 90 whatever percentage. Utter nonsense, of course, after she locked up the two major candidates that were supposed to run against her. Now, in Uganda, it's a bit different. The major candidate, the leading candidate, Bobi Wine, real name Robert Kyagulanyi, was not locked up. And people saw the massive crowds he drew to his campaigns compared to the few people who were bussed on the promise that they would be given money and food by General Museveni to his own campaign rallies. So there's the expectation that Bobi Wine will win this time around with an even larger margin than he won in 2021. And of course, on that occasion, the dictator, General Museveni, refused to yield power. He's a consummate pathological liar. He has removed presidential term limits so he could run again. He removed the 75-year ceiling age limit so he could run again. And now, despite the fact that it's quite clear that Bobi Wine is going to win massively, he controls the army and the police. And he wants the army and police to do his dirty work while the internet is turned off. So we can do a few things. We are not completely helpless. And first of all, you cannot kill every Ugandan with a cell phone, right? And sooner or later, you're going to turn the internet back on. And the images that people took on their phones are going to be available for the world to see. Correct? But in the meantime, we also want to insist to these governments and entities that have financed this dictatorship of General Museveni and his imbecile son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who in May 2025 boasted that he was torturing Eddie Mutwe, a top security official of Bobi Wine, in the basement of his home. So he's already convicted himself with his own words. It's just a question of time when he will be before some court somewhere to decide, and they'll use his own words against him. But in any case, the father, everybody knows his reputation. He does not even kill just political opponents. Ordinary people have been massacred. If you haven't read Slow Poison by Professor Mamdani, I suggest you order that book. And he shows the difference between General Museveni and every other president that has ruled Uganda. Massacres in every part of the country, central, east, west, and the northern part of Uganda. Killing ordinary people, ordinary villagers, not even political opponents. So please read that book. But this is the final point I want to make. The United States just signed a so-called health deal with this dictator in Uganda for more than $2 billion that's supposed to be phased over the next 5 years. I would like you to call the State Department at 202-485-7000. Please do call. Call and say you're calling to demand that since the United States gives billions of dollars to General Museveni, the United States has some leverage ask him to turn on the internet, to turn back the internet. You're not getting billions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money, and you're able to turn off the internet. You can't turn off the internet in the United States. You can't, regardless of whether you have a Democratic or Republican president. It just cannot happen. So how is some tin pot dictator who is being financed by U.S. taxpayer money allowed to turn off the internet? So make that call, 202-485-7000. Say you want to leave a message to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Tell this recipient of billions of dollars in U.S. taxpayers' money to turn on the internet, number one. Number two, and this is for the International Criminal Court and all the countries that are still financing Dictator Museveni and Deputy Dictator Muhoozi. He must be held accountable for whatever he does while the internet is turned off. Number one. Number two, he must not be allowed to steal an election in Uganda ever again. And they have leverage. They give him billions of dollars. They have leverage. The World Bank gives him money, and that is also U.S. taxpayer money. The International Monetary Fund gives him money. That's taxpayer money. The EU gives him money. That's European taxpayers' money. So ordinary people can say enough is enough. I don't want my euros or my British pounds or my US dollars to be spent on these two dictators in Uganda who have tortured and killed so many people and want to steal another election in Uganda. So if you are in the US, or even if you can call from outside the US, call 202-485-7000. Say, I want to leave a message for Marco Rubio, and you just heard the message that I suggested you leave. Tell this U.S. puppet to turn back on the internet. You can't turn off the internet in the U.S. How are you able to do it in Uganda? Sisters and brothers, a luta continua. Democracy will prevail in Uganda. Thank you.